Hello and welcome to MMO FTW Live here on MMORPG.com, your recap of the week that was in MMO news, happenings, and all that other fun stuff. With me this week we have, of course, the talented, lovely, and bald Rob Lashley. Wave hi, Rob, as always.
Very lovely.
Very lovely. He's so pretty. He's like Vanna White with a goatee.
You are so beautiful.
Oh, we don't need that. Now no one's watching.
Me.
And right there in the middle is a guy who you may not recognize, but you've seen his work all over MMORPG.com and all over our game list for that matter. That is Sam Parfazana. Sam.
How you doing? Wide world of the internet.
Wide world of the internet. What is your armband there?
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Yeah,
okay.
come on.
See, I couldn't see it. I thought maybe it might be Live Strong, but not. It's not yellow, so I was.
I don't
confused.
think anybody's gonna really get caught with a live strong
Really?
anything on these days.
Well, steroid enthusiasts might.
I guess you're
blood.
right.
A-Rod.
Anyway.
I don't know.
A-Rod will, yeah. Anyway, I'm sitting here and you're staring at bearded Sam Rockwell. Let me go ahead and play that. That's the first topic, which we're going to get to here in a little bit, but let me give you a rundown about what we're talking about this week. We've got the WoW movie news that Duncan Jones will be directing it, finally. It was Sam Raimi for the longest time, and this movie that's like in the limbo of development hell is apparently moving forward for 2015 release. Defiance is launching April 2nd. We found that out. We'll talk a little bit about Defiance. And then, of course, Neverwinter announced its Founders Pack and beta events all this week. We'll talk about those and what we think of that. Elder Scrolls Online. We're going to talk about the beta announcement and the interview that we had just 2 weeks ago because last week's MMO FTW was canceled because Rob was in our fifth topic, the PlanetSide 2 Ultimate Empire Showdown, which happened last week as well. And in our community spotlight, we will talk about the worst ever purchases that you've made in video game history or in MMO history. So that'll be a fun one. You can talk about the worst things that you've spent money on, and I've got a good one for myself, the video that we'll get to at the end. So anyway, it's not that bad because I love the game, but it still turned out to be a terrible purchase. So let's talk. The World of Warcraft movie, or the Warcraft movie. For those of you who don't know, Duncan Jones was finally secured as the director of the movie. He's signed on. If you are not familiar with Duncan Jones, he is actually David Bowie, like Ziggy Stardust's son. He directed the movie that is playing in our little video feed over there. That's Moon with Sam Rockwell. And he also directed, more recently, Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal. Two sci-fi movies, and now this guy's directing a giant sweeping fantasy epic. I don't know you guys just talk about this, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the whole WoW movie thing, because it is 8 years ago that we heard about this movie in the first place.
If he can get his dad to be in it and be a blood elf, I'm sold. I'm gonna watch it.
I was just gonna say, if David Bowie's in it and it has the themes of Labyrinth, I'm basically in.
Yeah, I don't know if that would happen though. I don't know if we can count on that. Although with all the pop culture references, it would be very, very appropriate for a WoW movie.
It definitely would be. I don't know. I guess it's glad to see that somebody else picked it up, and most people have probably seen by now the interview that he did about 2 years ago when Source Code was originally coming out, and he was talking about Sam Raimi being at the helm of the game and saying, how he would like to do it, but actually talking about his vision for it and how he thought Sam Raimi was the right guy for the job because he would talk to him and he was like, man, this is all really great ideas and stuff like that. So a lot of people have taken up on that and seen, hey, this guy's been talking about this a couple years ago. It's something he's obviously wanted to do, something he's got a vision to do. He did have Moon, I think, was more of an independent. I wouldn't really say independent, but it wasn't a huge, big budget.
I think it was though. It was in Sundance, and I think it was independent too.
Okay, so it wasn't a huge, but then what Source Code
was a big blockbuster.
Yeah, which kind of fizzled.
Yeah,
sure.
I heard it was good though. I never saw it, but I
It
guess
was supposed to be not bad.
Yeah.
It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. I mean, my wife's gonna have to love it or something. Anyways, Jake Gyllenhaal and
Can't
the
quit you, Source Code,
and all kinds of people go see it.
Yeah. So, but is it too late For a World of Warcraft movie, I mean, I guess maybe we're talking about it from like hardcore MMO perspective.
How many people still have active subscriptions to World of Warcraft?
Exactly. Like, I don't care anymore, but then again, if it's like really done well and it's still the Warcraft lore, I think there'd be a part of me that would want to see it. I'm just worried.
I think everybody's going to see it. I mean, like, they still have what, 9 million, 10 million subscribers, and beyond that, it makes me think of the Final Fantasy VII movies that came out like years after Final Fantasy VII. So they have so many fans like around the world, and it's just going to bring in more people, whether or not the movie's any good.
Yeah. Do you wonder if it's if the movie is going to be indicative of some other direction they're taking the game, like, or is it going to be completely separate from anything about the game? Because the way they seem to be marketing it now is that it's not just World of Warcraft the movie, but really a movie based on just Warcraft the IP. Like, they're distancing it a little bit from World of Warcraft. Is that puzzling?
I think they'll have to bring in. I think they'll have to bring in a ton of stuff from like the more obscure lore just to fill out the story. Because who knows, like what story they're going to take from World of Warcraft and make it into a movie.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit sad that Sam Raimi's not going to be directing it, because I was really interested to see what that would look like.
I think his visual style would have been perfect for that, to be honest. You know, I don't want to see like Peter Jackson's version, because it would just look like Lord of the Rings in Azeroth. But Sam Raimi, like, it could have been dark and atmospheric and cool. But, you know, if you've seen Moon, you know it could be the same with Duncan Jones doing it. It'll just be a different a look to the characters and the set, I guess. Here's a question, though, for you guys. Would Warcraft... let's put it this way. Warcraft the movie... Is it going to I don't know how to put this question. Is it going to be jumping? Is it going to be jumping the shark for World of Warcraft if it hasn't already?
I think it should be kind of independent of the game. I mean, because the game is too sweeping, and you know, in a movie you're going to have to pick a certain story because the scope's just not broad enough, and go with that. So you could have something that's totally not been a part of the game for years, and make a movie surrounding that. So, I don't know.
Sam?
What I want to know is, when are they going to make a Lord of the Rings online movie? I want a movie based on the game, based on the books, and then have them turn it into a novel. That's what I want to see.
What was that movie about? What was that movie based on the novel Push by Sapphire?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember. It won all these Oscars. It was about a black girl in like the inner city whose mom beat her and she got pregnant and also had AIDS. God, what was that called? Anyway, never mind.
Precious?
Precious, yes.
Oh, right.
In like The Office, Michael Scott was reading the novelization of the movie Precious based on the book Push by Sapphire, and that's exactly what that just reminded me of.
I know what you're saying. I actually owned that novelization. Someone bought it for me.
Oh, you did?
Lord of the Rings, Sam, right there. Battles for Middle Earth or something.
Middle Earth. That's the game based on the book, based on the movie based on the book.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's
based
quality.
on the comic, graphic novel. Sorry.
Yeah. Sam, where are you right now, by the way? You're not at home, and we've got a really weird video connection with you. It's like you're delayed. Yeah. But it's cool to watch.
Strange. Yeah,
are you in North America?
I'm in the moon.
He's on the moon. That's what it looks like. It looks like the feed from like the space station. I like
Watch out for Sam Rockwell, because I think he's kind of lost his mind there.
Spoiler alert, there might be clones. Moving along. So we all agreed that the Warcraft movie will be interesting to watch, and that Duncan Jones could be a genius choice or a bad choice. Let's finish this up. Duncan Jones, good or bad?
I think it's good.
Rob?
It'll be fine. I'll see it.
You'll see it, of course.
If he gets his dad in it, it's good.
If he gets his dad playing Nikolai Tesla, then we'll watch it.
Yes.
All right. Moving along to our second topic, Defiance launching April 2nd on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the PC. Mind you, they are not cross-platform. They're just on every system known to man. That is 2 weeks before the show airs on Sci-Fi Network on April 15th, I believe. I don't know. What do you guys think? We can't talk, I guess if you're in the beta, you can't really talk about it still, so if you've played the beta weekend, I think that's under NDA. But, I don't know. What do you guys think? April 2nd, it's 2 months away, 3 months away? How's my math?
It's a little over 2 months, Bill. Because you have February and March, and basically it's out. So.
What's March?
What about March?
Is that a month?
Yes, that is a month.
Okay.
It's a way of walking.
Beware the Ides.
February's all that matters. My birthday's at the end of the month, and then everything else is just gone.
Bill, no one cares once you're past 13 when your birthday is.
I'm just telling them they can send me presents. Please send me cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll tell you what, though. Defiance is going to be a great birthday present for whoever's going to have a birthday in March or April. Because the game is, I don't know. I played it a couple months ago at one of the events that Trion had in San Francisco. And I was actually really impressed by the shooting and how well the game worked on a 360. Because I was playing the 360 version. And it had some like frame issues and some other like pop-up stuff that I hope that they can fix. Maybe they've even fixed in the beta. I haven't played the beta yet, but I'm pretty excited to get my hands on the PC version. I can tell you that.
I've played it a couple times at shows too, and the one thing that struck me about it is the fact that it's kind of like, well, I guess it's a little bit like Firefall, really, in that it's like a massive PvE game with like a shooter dynamic to it and vehicles and all this other stuff, but where Firefall kind of does things very different and you know, it has like this stylized look. Defiance has a much more like realistic look to it. I guess you can say that it's not stylized, and from what I understand, the skill progression and things like that are a little bit more straightforward. But I feel like the game's coming out in April, and they announced the release date, but we don't really know that much about it other than it's a massive shooter. Like, they haven't talked about classes and skill progression. They haven't talked about really the PvP and the thing called Shadow War. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns still about the like lore, the races, and all that stuff.
Well, the art style has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, there's a show. So you can't really make shade cell graphics and then have and by the way, if you're watching the trailer, this is a really cool thing. You're going to see this lady's eyes, and I might be lagged. There's a code in here, and if you go onto their website and you enter in that code, you'll get unlocks. And if you get so many of those codes, because they've hidden them throughout media all over the internet. They had one hidden on our website. I don't even know if you realized that.
Yeah, someone actually told me, because we don't have nothing to do with the ads, but they're like, hey, it was in one of your ads. I'm like, really?
Yeah. So one of the targeted ads they had on our website had a specific code in it that you could only get from our website. And they've done this, and there's going to be like 120 minimum codes. And they actually give you things that you would want in game that you might actually pay for, which you're not going to have to, like additional inventory items.
Yeah, and so salvage and gun skills. I think for people that aren't following what Rob said, I think it's myego.defiance.com or something like that. If you Google My Ego and Defiance, you'll find the webpage, and it's basically like a pre-launch like hype tool to help you start getting stuff for your character. But it's like titles and everything, and bank slots and all this other junk.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Or you can just go to your Trion Worlds account, you know, and get through it there. So there's also some community members that are filling out a Google document. I'll tweet that out later on, that have all the codes that people have found. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I will send it out there if you want it.
So you can cheat, which is definitely easier.
There's about 30 to 40 that people have found, and keep in mind they're still like 2 months ago, so they're not all out there yet.
I actually had an interview with Lance James, who's one of the designers, and he said that they're going to end up having, if it keeps going well, it's very likely that the My Ego thing won't stop after launch, and they'll keep adding to it and doing more of it as the show goes on, so that you can watch the show and get codes to add to get more stuff. And I just thought that was really cool. It's a great way to like make
marketing.
you think.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cross
what do you
promotion.
guys think about the show? I mean, do you think you'll keep up with the show as well as the game?
If it looked as good as this trailer, I would watch that show all the friggin' time.
Yeah. Don't know that that's the case. But the show's going to be in Defiance, which is on the grave of St. Louis. They just had Julie Benz and Grant. What's his last name? Not Fuller. What's his last name?
Grant Boulder or something like that, or Grant Bowler. Grant Bowler,
the male lead.
Yeah.
They did like some Twitter takeover from 30 Rock. Yesterday.
30 Rock, it's gone. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So, anywho, back to the
Defiance.
I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed messing around with the bugs more than anything. There was one in an early build where you basically at the
NDA.
beginning. No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, this is back when you went to the actual
back
thing.
in the show.
Okay.
Yeah. No
Rob visited the set and everything like that.
They had a bug where you got a quad runner, aka a four-wheeler, and you'd hit things, and you wouldn't just like stop. You would springboard off them.
Oh, you
So
told me about that.
Run into a rock and you just go flying into the sky. And the best thing was to like launch off stuff and try and get caught in trees, and then you could sit there and like shoot people from the trees.
It's amazing.
It was hilarious.
I love the vehicle stuff in that game. I was so surprised to actually like it too. But they have, at least in the build that I was playing, they had these like little checkpoint races that you could roll around in your ATV and stuff. And it was just like, just as what I normally do, and probably most people do at one of these events, is instead of doing whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing, I just go off into the wilderness, doing goodness knows what, and that was like my favorite part of the game, was just driving around and like running into crazy stuff.
Well, I like that because there's room for that to go do your own thing, and then the arc falls hit, and it gives an alert out like zone wide. You see on the map that an arc fall
it's like taking over an entire area.
Yeah, and then everybody goes there, and they got like the open grouping, like you kind of find in Rift and stuff like that, and it gets you to play together, and then you can go back out on your own if you want, or you say, hey, we had a good time, let's go do some other thing. My only concern is that I noticed in the collector's edition purchase, one of the guns you got was like the gun that shot people with syringes, and then they got the blisters,
the bugs and everything.
And then the bugs came out. That was one of the guns you get. If that's the only way you can get that gun, I'd be very disappointed.
I was, from what I understand, it's not. I think it's the only way you can get that. Like, you can get that gun early if you bought the collector's edition.
But there's going to be something with that mechanic still, at least.
Yeah. So like, you can get that gun early, but that's another thing I asked Lance actually. You can get that gun early, but then if you don't buy the collector's edition, you'll end up having to earn it later in the game. So like, you'll get it and you'll have it before anybody else, which is awesome because the gun that Rob's talking about literally shoots like alien technology that grows eggs all over a person. You can load them up with like several dozen until they collapse under the weight of it. Or if they're still running around and they got a couple on them, these eggs burst, and they'll burst anyway no matter what. And little creepy crawly aliens come out and like chase after people and do more damage to them. It is the craziest gun I've ever seen in like any game. It's awesome.
It has point blank AoE.
Yeah.
Where hit your target at.
So it might be overpowered, but I don't care.
It's awesome.
That is gonna haunt me in my nightmares.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pick it up and buy the collector's edition, Sam, and shoot people with it.
Fight fire with fire.
Yeah.
I told them it all depends on how big that Hellbug statue is. I was like, if it's big like Ritlock, then it might be worth it. I'm not too concerned about the messenger bag, but if it's like dinky, like the little skull from Diablo 3, absolutely not.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The stuff they gave away at BlizzCon like 2 years ago was actually bigger than the skull you got for buying Diablo 3. You got this for free just for going to BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And that's like way cooler than anything you got in the Diablo Collector's Edition. But
your ticket cost $130.
Ours did not. Press accounts.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, those poor people did. But they got like so much free crap. You should have seen how much stuff Blizzard gives away.
I'm sure it was worth it.
Okay. So moving right along, Defiance launching April 2nd. Look forward to... Oh, and one more important thing is that, for those of you who are wondering, it is going to be buy-to-play. That info snuck out when they announced their pre-order packages. There's no subscription. It's going to be, you buy the game and you can play it, and then I assume there's a cash shop with all this other stuff you'll be able to get
There's going to be purchasable DLC, too, because you see in there you get a annual pass.
Yeah.
Or whatever they were calling it. So
what,
there
the
is
collector's edition?
Yeah, so there's going to be, DLC that you can pay for after the fact. Kind of like
Borderlands.
Yeah, but I was also going to... compare it more to the Secret World.
Yeah. It's a good model. If anybody comes out with a subscription game anymore, which we could talk about all day, I feel like it's like the kiss of death right off the bat, and they need to think about it again. But moving along to our third topic, another upcoming game that's coming out this spring is Neverwinter. Speaking of betas and things like that, Neverwinter this week announced their Founders Packs, which is like I guess their early buy-in to get into beta. I don't think you're going to have to buy the game. It's more like you can help out the game early and to get into the beta and get a bunch of extra stuff. But it's going to be a free-to-play.
And a full respect token, too.
And a respect token. And then they also announced their beta weekend events, which actually start next weekend and then go throughout March. And the last one is in March, which leads us all to believe that the launch of the game can't be that far behind, but obviously they haven't announced a specific date for launch because you want to see how beta goes. So let's first talk about the Founders Packs. This has caused a bit of a stir on our community, especially if you buy the $200 like mega Founders Pack, you'll get access to a Panther pet and the exact type of drow that Drizzt Do'Urden, I hope I'm saying that right, that's how I've always said it, is, and that's the only way you can get access to him. And it doesn't really seem to bother people that you get access to this drow and the Panther pet. I think what bothers people more than anything is that it's promoting folks to go spend $200 to copy the most copied and overrated character in all of Dungeons and Dragons history. And now you're going to buy Neverwinter, and on launch day you're going to see Drizzt with 4 Z's and Drizzt with 12 Z's, and yeah, Tyler Drizzt Do'Urden. I don't know.
I'm Drizzt Do'Urden.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, you see it in any game that has Dark Elves, and now you're going to see it again. But, well, what do you think? What do you think? We could start off. Let's go.
You want to take this one first, Sam?
I just want to know what was the name of that game? It was for the PS2, where it was like a Baldur's Gate. I think
it was
Dark
a Baldur's
Alliance.
Gate.
It was a Baldur's Gate. Dark Alliance.
Right? Yeah, and if
Yeah.
you like played through the entire thing and did something, then you can unlock Drizzt.
Yes, you
Yes.
did.
Yeah, those games need to come back.
Yeah, R.A. Salvatore actually worked on some of the story for that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, those games. I really like those games. I mean, I love Baldur's Gate in general, but I kind of like those hack and slash.
The Dark Alliance ones were great. The first Dark Alliance was fantastic. I think I had it on the GameCube like years ago. It feels weird to say GameCube years ago. Yeah.
The Dark Alliances were for console.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problem is Black Isle's not really around, so we're not going to get one of those
But they
games.
are.
Yeah, I know, but they're not Black Isle.
They're not
I don't
really.
even know that they would have the, it'd be hard for them to get the license to D&D back.
Same.
Anyways, I have a hard time reconciling $200 for a pre-purchase that doesn't include any physical items, because to this point I think almost anything that we've seen cost this much has had some kind of physical item with it. Now, that's not to say that in the end, if you're someone who plays this game a lot, that the $200 could be a fantastic deal. It really could. And most developers will tell you, and I know Turbine will tell you this, and people that have left Turbine and gone to other companies will really tell you this. If someone plays your game a lot and they pre-purchase at the beginning a lifetime subscription or whatever for like $250, it is definitely a win
For that person.
for that person,
Yeah.
and a loss for the company.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have to churn out all kinds of stuff that you've paid for, and they're still working on it, and they're not getting any additional revenue. So if you are just like foaming at the mouth for this game, the $200 with the 750,000, was it crystals or whatever their currency is?
Yeah.
That's probably not a bad idea.
Plus you get that full access, or I should say immediate access to the Foundry, which is going to be limited at first for people. And if you're like the hardcore content creator, that alone would be worth it if you have the money. But
so, I really like R.A. Salvatore's works. I've read almost all the Drizzt Do'Urden books. I just haven't read Charon's Claw, which is the last one. I've got it. It's sitting on my shelf. I just haven't got a chance to read it yet. I've been looking forward to Neverwinter ever since Gauntlgrim came out, his first book, which kind of teased that it was going to happen. I'm definitely going to play the hell out of this game when it does come out. I just don't know that I want the spider. I'm not going to lie.
the spider mount's worth it.
So I'm going to have to get a hold of somebody that works at Perfect World Entertainment and hit them up for like a spider mount code or something.
I just hope
I just want to pay. I just want the spider mount because that's a badass mount.
like my main thing is all this stuff that you can get with these founders packs. I hope eventually that you could spend
buy it piecemeal,
even if you have to pay more money than what it would have cost, you know, because what they're basically trying to say is, look, if you put $20 down, you're going to get this stuff for cheaper. If you put what is it, 60 or 50 down, you're going to get this much for cheaper than you would if you had to buy it piecemeal. So I'm hoping that maybe several months after launch, they say, okay, now you can come and buy the spider mount, but it's going to cost you $20. Or whatever.
You know what makes me think of is when Lotro first came out and they had founders. It wasn't like a founders pack, but it was the lifetime subscription.
Yeah, like I think it was founders actually, but it was.
Yeah, well, because they had a subscription when they launched it,
yeah.
and at the time I was like, $199. Like I wasn't willing to spend that on an MMO at the time, and probably 18 months later when I was still subscribing to the game, I was kicking myself that I didn't buy the subscriber edition or the lifetime edition, and then they moved it up to like $299, and I think they moved it back down. And I think for me at the time it was a little bit of a wild west in terms of the having a lifetime subscription, so it was hard to know what to expect or where your money was going.
Were they the first one? I think they might have been with Lotro.
It might have been the first, yeah. I mean, they've definitely done it since then.
Yeah.
Somebody could probably correct us on that, but I don't. I mean, the thing is, I had no context at that time to be like, is this a good deal? I don't know. I mean, I can add $14.99 times however many months I think I'm going to play this game, but there's, I don't know. I think it's all about like value, which we'll probably know more about once we understand exactly how the Foundry is going to work and be monetized, and all of the different options that are coming. And it's got like a staff or a wand of useless items. Did you guys see that?
No. Yeah. What did that say? I missed that part. I haven't watched this video, but
it materializes a useless item, a random useless item.
That's awesome.
Which I think is incredible.
I mean, it's just a silly thing to have, but hopefully it's useful. One of the things also that I thought about this is that Neverwinter's not going to have a subscription as far as we know, but maybe it will. I would imagine very soon they're going to tell us how their actual monetization model will work, because I mean they already announced these founders packages, but I would think that before I spent $60 I would want to know. No, I mean like all the details of their store and everything like that.
Gotcha.
Like what's
because I'm pretty sure you're going to get the client.
Yeah, no, it's free to play, just like every other Perfect World game, and just like Star Trek and Champions and all the other Cryptic games are now. But I guess before I would spend $200 on something, I would want to make sure that I'm okay with what else they're putting in the store.
And the thing is, they've got to know already what they're charging, because if you look at it, it tells you what value it would have if you were to buy it all individual.
It's like $550, I think.
Yeah, so I think they already, they've got internally at least the prices associated with what these items are going to cost. So it would be nice if they would come out and tell us, say, hey, because like, you know what? I don't really want to pay $200 for this, but if I can get that spider mount for like $15, maybe even $20 if it goes across all characters, I'd probably spend $20 for that to go across all the characters. Yeah. Especially if I'm not paying anything for the game.
I can tell you right now that I was lucky enough to get a press copy of Guild Wars 2. We usually get press copies of stuff like that, but I have spent so much money in Guild Wars 2 Gem Store just for useless crap that.
What have you bought?
What have I bought? Just gems out the wazoo, like. Gems to use on cosmetic items, gems to use to trade for gold so I can level crafting faster without having to go hunt for materials, and like just stuff. You should character slots and bag slots and bank slots. Like I couldn't tell. I could bet money that I've probably spent over $100 in the gem store.
Login backpack.
I haven't bought that yet, nor have I bought the new.
Bill's wife don't watch the show and hear how much money he spends on games. Buy a login backpack.
But yeah, so I think the key is if the game's good and the stuff in the store is just kind of adding to that experience, that people will spend the money. So I think there has been a tendency of Perfect World to charge for like these lock boxes that can only be opened if you spent money to open them, and that's what people are more worried about. So I'm hoping that there's. If they have that in there, if they have these lock boxes, that there's some other way to open them, because that would be the most tragic misstep, according to our community, is if they had these lock boxes that have killer items that you have to you have to spend money on to open.
Have you guys ever spent money on like a lifetime subscription or something like that?
I never bought a lifetime.
I have lifetime accounts. Didn't necessarily have to pay for them.
I don't think that counts.
Doesn't count.
Okay. I tell you what, though, in the long run, the TSW one turned out to be a good value, especially if you continue to play that for how good they hooked up.
Oh yeah,
people.
they hooked up those.
Oh, that's
Lotro
true.
too. Lotro gets tons of, like, if you're a lifetime member there, you get so much
you
free
get
stuff.
turbine
Yeah,
points
that's
each
true.
month, yeah.
That's true.
It's like,
It definitely, in the end, it is in the consumer's best interest to get these things up front if they continue to play over the course of like 2 years.
And if that game stays around that long, that's also the key. Which, there are some companies out there that we'll talk about one company later whom I love, but there are a few games they've shut down on me right as I was loving their games.
Yeah, it's a gamble, but in the long run, the majority of them I think pay off.
I think it's something you'll probably see less of. You might see more founders packs like this, where we'll give you a whole bunch of free stuff if you're gonna give it up right here, because the subscription, as far as I'm concerned, is becoming either optional or obsolete. But let's move on. Let's move on. To
for what it's worth, though, I won't be purchasing it. Though.
No.
What about you, Sam?
I love the mount just as much as you do.
Yeah.
The spider mount. Yeah. Did you end up getting the Guild Wars 2 Collector's Edition? I know you guys.
I did.
Right?
I did.
He actually he had to pay for it. I got a shill copy.
You just got one.
Yeah.
Is it pretty big?
It was
It's
massive,
huge, dude.
It's very massive. Like, show him do you have the thing, the metal thing? Yeah. Oh, there's the Ritlock. Yeah, it's big. It's bigger than Rob's head, and that's a big head.
So that's what I'm saying. If Defiance, if their Hellbug is like this big, I might drop the 150 for it.
Yeah.
If my wife watches this, I'm just kidding. I'm
No,
not
you're
going to do
just
that.
kidding.
But don't pay attention to my PayPal account. But if it's like that, like I said, if it's like the Diablo one, forget about it. Then and notice Ritlock, he plays PlanetSide 2 as well.
Is he a Vanu?
He's a Vanu.
I would not expect that. I would expect, like, new conglomerate for him.
Why wouldn't you think so? Actually, I
Terran
think
Republic.
it makes perfect sense that he would be Vanu because
the technology.
They've
The technology.
adopted technology because they got rid of their gods.
Yeah, but
You play Guild Wars 2 way more than I do, Bill.
Yeah, but
How did you not know that?
But he's not sleek and purple. If anything, he's Terran Republic. He's more red and black.
It's just because of his sword
He
that he
could
got
just
up from
change
the
You gotta
person
wear
he
the
killed.
colors. You gotta wear the
He can change
colors.
his outfit.
All right. Anyway, I got done dressing him.
We could change
Wait,
his outfit. If I was
I just wanna
Ritlock,
say-
I would go buy some purple and gold dye.
I might get slammed for this, but I actually prefer like
Ritlock.
digital collector's editions where you don't actually get actual stuff. Because I mean, like Ritlock looks awesome, and I like the Hellbug and everything like that. But I have so much stuff that I prefer just to have in-game items
That are worth it. That are worth it. That are cooler.
That are-
like the mount and stuff that you'll use.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
see that. I don't
I'll
necessarily
totally take
need
that
the
over.
collector's items. There's a part of me that wants the collector stuff. My office is filled with it, and then my office at work, my
Sure.
cube looks like freaking Toys R Us. It's like nerd heaven at the day job. Not
Sounded a little bit like a braggart, Bill.
No, it's awful. It's like there's like the flag that's behind Rob is hanging in my cube, and I have a thing from Tryon when they sent out this weird it was like a pre-press announcement, a pre-beta press announcement or something. They're like, you can be an Arc Hunter, and they sent you like a placard that says Arc Hunter Recruit.
yeah.
I put that on my name placard. Everybody else has their name at work, and if you go looking for my cube, it says Arc Hunter Recruit. It doesn't say Bill Murphy.
That's
Did
on
you
you.
get a new job,
Yeah.
by the way? It reminds me.
What's that?
Did you get that new job? Do you know?
No,
yet?
I won't know until the end of February. It's the government. It moves pretty slowly.
I want to take that Arc Hunter sign off your desk.
Oh, see, this would be a telework job, so they'll never see it.
Okay.
All right. Moving right along is coming up to... Oh, what happened to this video?
Corrupted.
Maybe?
I didn't do it.
I
Interesting.
blame Sam.
I didn't do it.
Perhaps it is corrupted. Well, we'll just let this one keep playing. Unless that one wants to show up. Nope. Okay, so, sorry folks, technical difficulties. It wasn't fine before. Elder Scrolls Online, was that, God, it was last week, I feel like it was just 2 days ago, that they announced their beta signups, and then came on our show the same day. They came on a special edition of MMOFTW Live. I got to talk to Paul Sage about the game, about the beta process, and about just a whole bunch of crafting detail that he hadn't really given anybody before. So that felt awesome. I don't know how I weaseled that out of him. But, yeah. So, beta signups and a lot of cool new info about how Elder Scrolls is coming along. What are you guys thinking so far about the game?
Dunmer.
Dunmer. That's it.
That's all I have to say.
And, Rob?
A lot of people out there are saying it's Dark Age of Camelot meets Skyrim. Sign me up.
I'm fine with that.
I'm more than fine with that.
It's definitely more like, let's put it this way. It doesn't. I played it for about 3 hours, and that was like a pre-alpha build. They hadn't even gone to alpha yet. But what I would say it is it's very much Dark Age of Camelot 2 with just the Elder Scrolls aesthetic on it. It doesn't play like Skyrim. It doesn't feel like Skyrim. The controls feel a little bit like Elder Scrolls now. It's getting there. It does have the left click to attack, right click to block, and then you have like the mouse targeting. And they're even potentially going to throw in the first-person view if they can get it working, they said. But the whole design of everything, like the Alliance versus Alliance, and the it's essentially Realm versus Realm, and this big, massive central map, which we didn't get to see in person, but they talked up quite a bit about it. It's just, and the team on it with Matt Firor, it's just, everything about it screams this is them making Dark Age of Camelot 2 with a hell of a better IP.
See, I'm so into that. I mean,
yeah.
that's I'm fine with that. I mean, I guess I'm approaching it not expecting it to be an Elder Scrolls game in the series. You know, I know it's called Elder Scrolls Online, but I'm not expecting the follow up to Skyrim in MMO form. You know, I'm able to delineate that this is a different game with different gameplay devices, and I'm so just excited to play with other people in a world that has the thematic premises of the Elder Scrolls. Because I mean, they've always been single player games, and I'm always like, oh, I really want to show this thing to a friend of mine, or I really want to experience this with another person, and not a henchman or something like that. And,
Yeah.
I think it'll be actually really cool. It has the potential to be.
I just want people to kind of realize too that this isn't, it's not Skyrim Online. It's not, Oblivion Online or Morrowind. The series has, transformed as it's progressed. I mean, who out there has played, Arenas, like the first one?
Yeah.
Anyone? Yeah. So obviously, by the time they went from the first one to the third one, they were drastically different. So the series is going to evolve. I hope people are willing to understand that when they fire it up and start playing, and maybe they won't be able to have the first-person perspective, that they're not just like freaking out and oh, this isn't the Elder Scrolls I knew.
It doesn't have to be exactly like Elder Scrolls.
It's going to have the visual cues. It's going to have the canon. Mm-hmm. It's going to have all of the things that go behind making an Elder Scrolls game. It just might not have that first person and the same combat.
Well,
and, that's really difficult to do.
Let me add to that, actually, is the fact that one of the things they stressed heavily while we were there is that they are trying very hard to make it feel like an Elder Scrolls game. Not just, yes, it won't look like one because they can't do that and replicate it with hundreds of people on screen at once, because that's what they're aiming for with AVA, is like hundreds of people fighting in a battle, possibly thousands of people on a single server that has anyway. But they've got everything from, how you can wander around Tamriel and you'll find just stuff littered everywhere that you can pick up and put in your pockets and then use it for crafting. That's in the game. That's the kind of stuff that's like the little things that is unique to an Elder Scrolls game. Like, here's a barrel full of apples, I'm going to take it. There's other things like if you will steal from people's houses, and that will somehow affect you. They haven't talked much about that system, and they're not sure if it'll be in for launch, but there will be some sort of the guards might come after you, or you might get known as a thief and that kind of stuff. That's one thing they're working on. The crafting itself, they didn't talk too much about it other than to tell us that it's going to be very important, that it's not going to be the same old crafting, that you will, find pieces and parts off of mobs and put them together, and that's very Skyrim. And then, of course, there's this idea that you don't have a set path. You get thrown into this world, and then you're just you can explore, and you'll happen upon missions and quests, but they're not essential to do it. You know how in Skyrim and in Oblivion and in Morrowind there was a main quest. They have that, and that will push the narrative. But everything else just is sort of out there for you to go find.
Don't steal my Danish, Bill. Don't steal. Don't do it.
But that to me, that more than anything, that's part of the Elder Scrolls myth, is that you can go anywhere and do anything and play the game how you want to play it. The Elder Scrolls Online is hoping to do that just with other people, and I think from what I've seen so far that they're accomplishing that. At least they're getting pretty damn close, and it was still very early when I last saw it. So, my 2 cents.
Yeah, which do you think we see first, this or EQ next?
This.
Yeah, I think those games, I don't know, the Elder Scrolls games for me are just so much about the immersion factor. And I've said this before, I've probably played Morrowind about as much, if not more, than a lot of MMOs that I play, which is like quite a lot for a single player game. So if they're able to capture not the immersiveness, not the combat, not the even the visuals that we've been seeing with Skyrim and Oblivion before that, like if they're just able to capture the theme or the lore consistency that the Elder Scrolls games have, man, that'll be awesome. I mean, provided that the game is actually fun to play.
Yeah. Which it is. I can attest, and that was, as long as they don't like go backwards, this game's gonna be fun to play. The combat was very, very close to like straight up Skyrim combat, and like Morrowind and Oblivion, or I should say Oblivion and Skyrim combat, because Morrowind was a bit different. They the one thing that players have to remember too is that it's not going to be like a hotbar heavy game. Like the UI is very minimal. It disappears pretty much off the screen just like it would in a recent Elder Scrolls game when you're not using it. Like when you go into battle, your hotbar pops up, but the hotbar only has 6 or 7 things on it, and one of which is like an actual, like, you know, a potion or a consumable. The rest of them are like your basic skills. So just like you would select things to use as skills in Skyrim, and you might not have a hotbar, but you can assign things as hotkeys. It's just like that. And you'll have weapons, and you'll be able to change between those weapons. It's just, yeah, I think people are in for a treat, and they're not really believing it yet, but maybe they're starting to.
I think the million Facebook likes they have and stuff like that prove that people are into it. So,
people are into the brand. I should say
they're going to be okay.
Our fans are not quite into it. If you read our forums, that you can see that they're all very worried because, you know, we tend to get excited for things, and they tend to not necessarily live up to their hype. And I'm not saying this game's going to live up to its hype. I'm just saying you can probably bet it'll at least be fun.
That's almost an impossible task anymore, because people just set their expectations so high, and it's kind of like, well, why don't you calm it down a little bit? It's like, what are you going to say? It's terrible, and they jump on it and just get all... It's like, no, I'm just saying set realistic expectations, you know. Jesus Christ is not going to come out of the box and, you know, save you.
I think that would be cool, though.
It would be cool.
Something I would pay $200 for.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, our fans tend to be the hardest of the core. At least
they're cynics.
So
rightfully so in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, I understand their cynicism. I don't share it. I tend to be the type of person that's more of a glass half full kind of guy, but I know where they're coming from. And especially with a high-profile IP that came out last year, or the year before in Star Wars, and how disappointing that ended up being for a lot of folks. I can understand why they don't want it to happen again, and why people are like, oh, the hero engine's going to make it fail. No. The only thing that had me worried at the whole time I was down at ZeniMax was the fact that for the storyline missions, they seem to be using a sort of phasing. So like you'll pick a path, and that'll be your storyline path, and then you won't be able to see the other person, just like in WoW, until they're catching up to you in the storyline. So I hope there's a mechanic to join them, but just like you were saying, Sam, that kind of ruins the immersion if you're like hopping back in time to a part of the story just to hang out with a friend that they haven't done. Guild Wars does it well, where the story is just always instanced, pretty much. You know, your personal story is always just yours. You can bring friends with you, but it doesn't mean that you're segregated from the rest of the world, except for when you're doing those missions. And I hope that there's something in place for Elder Scrolls, or rather something that they can think of that makes it a little less, what's the word?
Obvious.
Fourth wall breaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other thoughts on that game? It's a good hot topic. Dunmer.
I went to play.
Orc. I'm going to be an orc.
Orc
there too. Oh, and by the way, some bad news is that Garrett said, "Oh, you're going orc, Bill? Okay, I'm going orc too." So
what?
You guys, yeah, he's an orc, man. He LARPs as an orc. I will show you a picture one day. He's got a mask and everything.
I expected him to go orc, so I was really excited when he said he was going to go Dunmer.
Yeah, and then he changed his mind when I said, "I'm going orc." He's like, "Oh, well then, if you are Bill," and then he blew me a kiss and he decided to go orc.
Typical.
But one last thought on Elder Scrolls Online, and then we got to burn through these last two topics because it's getting late. The other big thing that I think will be important for this game is that it doesn't launch with a subscription, or if it does, that it's entirely optional. I've said it. I mean it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I do.
So we'll see what it does there. Moving right along, this is going to be Algrac. Hey, Rob, what happened at the PlanetSide 2 Ultimate Empire Showdown? Tell us about it. That's it?
That's all you need to know.
That was
my foam finger. All right. So anyways, the big surprise that came out that day was that PlanetSide 2, or Sony Online Entertainment, was teaming up with MLG to try and create... God, can you get that guy off the screen? So anyways, he's actually pretty intense. He does that character very well and did it pretty much the entire time at the event, so good on him. Anyways, so Sundance D. Giovanni was there, and he, with John Smedley, announced that they were going to work on PlanetSide 2 and try to find a way to get it. It's not going to try and find a way to get it. It's going to be part of MLG, but try to find a way to make it more of an esport ability game. What they're looking to do is try and this is kind of Sundance's quote, infuse some of MLG's DNA into the game and find a way to take what thematically would be PlanetSide 2, but make it to where you could have an event. I think it's going to be really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because of the whole scope of PlanetSide 2 is these large-scale armies fighting it out.
Not team-based.
How do you pare that down to where you have a competition with teams that are manageable?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, we could have 20 versus 20 teams, but if these are pro players, there's not going to be that big of purses, and people want to get paid. Yeah. So I find it really hard how you could say, oh, there's a $2,000 purse for this, and everybody's like, well, that's cool. And then you realize that the team has 20 people, so it's congratulations, you won $100.
Yeah.
That paid for like your cab ride even from the airport to your hotel.
And most of these purses are much larger than that, but they're smaller teams and single-player events.
Correct.
And so you're talking, like you said, so do you turn PlanetSide 2 into a 5 versus 5 versus 5 small map thing? Like,
and by doing so, I mean, is it still PlanetSide 2? Like, you know, people, they had arenas from World of Warcraft, which, you know, that was a way to get World of Warcraft into an esport. But is that really World of Warcraft? Sure, there's a lot of people that play World of Warcraft and do arenas, but, you know, is that the spirit, the essence of World of Warcraft?
Definitely not the essence of PlanetSide 2.
Yeah,
I'm not even a very good player of that game, but I can tell you that, like, from what I remember of it years ago playing it and what I remember recently dying in it, is it wouldn't feel like PlanetSide 2 at all if it was a team-based small map shooter.
It's really hard to even hop in there solo and play. Like, actually, after when we're done here, I'm going to hop on with some of the Reachcast guys, which are podcasts out of St. Louis here that do focus on PlanetSide 2. But you got to get together with a team and play, because I tried to get in there the other day by solo, and you walk out of your camp and you're like, oh, hey, shot in the head. Walk back out. Hey.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's so tough. I mean, you're right, and it would have to be some other kind of feature that they would put in there for smaller teams to get into it. But I just don't see that, like you're saying.
I wouldn't want that available in the game either if I was a fan. I would want that reserved only for competitions as a way to spread the word about the game, and then keep it completely separate from the actual game itself. Like, I think it would be great if they did it and said, okay, here's the map they're playing on, and maybe occasionally they'll be like, we'll open this up for the weekend of the event, you guys can hop on and play it, but for the rest of the time it's not going to be available in the game, because that's not what PlanetSide 2 is about. You know, like, it shouldn't be something that suddenly detracts from what PlanetSide 2 is, which is this epic territorial conflict.
It's Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah, or that.
It is. I mean, and that's what makes it great. So I don't know, to be able to have people that are doing the transports. I mean, because that's part of it too. People are pilots. They play the game.
Everything.
You know, they pick up troops. They pick up armor and they transport it to, a different part of the map, and that's a part of the game. The logistics and the transportation, and different stuff like this. How can you do that?
You work on your certs and you become like the expert pilot or the expert gunner on a galaxy or whatever, and that's your role. It's completely different when you've got just 5 versus 5. But anyway, so was it a fun event, Rob?
So back to the event. It was a good time. We were at the Bookbindery, which is in Culver City, which is just outside of LA. There was obviously Total Biscuit, Scene-Anners, and Level Cap, who is new to the PlanetSide. Well, PlanetSide 2. He's probably the least known of the 3. All of them pretty approachable. Scene-Anners we got a decent interview with him up on FPS Guru. If you guys want to check that out, and definitely enjoyed it. Had a great time. There was an open bar to the public. People were drinking, eating, having fun. The food didn't quite match. So they had like dates and grapes and like brie and some really high scale bread.
Fancy.
It's like and they're giving, and then you have
could have had some empanadas at least.
Yeah, like Sam Adams Light and some Indian Pale Ale and Corona, and then some sodas. It's like, so we're playing PlanetSide 2, we're drinking beer, and you're trying to feed people
dates.
Like, yeah, it's like it's like I want to talk to whoever decided to cater this. But all said and done, Jace Hall was there, emceed it with Matt Higbee.
He's a cool guy. Matt's a great
real
guy.
Cool. Actually, I photobombed an interview he was doing with another site because you asked me to. And then we talked to him. Yeah, okay. I talked to him at the end. He appreciated, he enjoyed my goatee because he can't grow it quite as full, apparently, he was saying. Even though his biceps are bigger than my head. So that was a good time. And they had Married to a Brady, the woman that won Adrian Curry.
Adrian Curry, yeah.
She was like the roving reporter.
Is she still married to a Brady?
No. They're not married anymore.
No, she won the first America's Top Model. She's the only one of that show's still on, and that's still the only one I know. But I guess I shouldn't, otherwise I'd probably have to give up my testicles.
Yeah. One of the big things to know about this, though, is it was an event. They compared it to something you would see in the WWE. This was not a true competition. The overall winner was decided by social media votes.
Yeah, that's
so. You've got TR and his legion of followers, or I'm sorry, TB and his legion of followers for the TR, and they won. Even though the Vanu, and people are going to be like, oh, the Vanu overpowered, the Vanu won 2 out of 3 challenges.
They sure did. Led by Tremel Ray Isaac.
Yes, and our very own Evan Marcus, a.k.a.
Ripper X.
Ripper X.
Yeah.
Hello,
Ripper X. Scene-Anners, of course.
Wait, what was the weather change like for you, Rob?
Okay, so it was 15 degrees in St. Louis when I got on the plane. I touched down in LA, it was 65 and raining. It rained like the entire time I was there.
Yeah. That's LA.
Yeah, it
LA
was
sucks. I mean, I love LA.
I called Ripper. I was like, hey, I'm at the airport. He's like, hey. He's like, what are you wearing? I was like, I'm the only jackass with a winter coat in LA.
Pretty much.
It's like, I'll stand out like a sore thumb, and I have my Cardinals hat on, so.
All right. So that was the Ultimate Empire Showdown. As Rob said, you can check out FPS Guru for a bunch of videos. You can check out their YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/fpsguru.com. And you can even find a few on MMORPG.com, plus a write-up of the event, if you'd like. Lots of good stuff out of that show. Plus their 6-month plan, too, that you'll be able to vote on. It's a pretty cool notion. They're letting the community voice what they want to happen in the game, and you'll be able to vote on this 6-month plan. So literally what you decide, what players decide should happen with the game is what will happen with the game, what will be added. It's pretty sweet.
This is pretty much a direct quote from Matt Higbee. The 6-month roadmap is a mashup of 80% Reddit, 20% White House Gov petitions.
There you go.
Nice.
That actually is a great explanation. Okay, so moving finally, last few minutes of our show, we're going to talk about the Community Spotlight. This week, it is your worst purchase, your worst MMO purchase ever. Let's keep it to MMOs because we could probably talk about a lot of video games you've purchased that maybe you shouldn't have. But let's go with worst MMO purchase ever. I'll start off. This is a bittersweet thing, those of you might recognize this IGN trailer that is in lovely 480, is Auto Assault from NCSoft. I loved this game with every ounce of my gamer nerdy heart. I loved my human engineer. I loved my biomech. I loved it all. I knew it was not that great. I knew there was a lot of stuff lacking in it, but I loved this Carmageddon type MMO. I thought it was such a unique idea, and it truly was. And the game was out for about a year before being shut down, never to see the light of day again. I spent $60 on it, plus the subscription for the whole time, and now I'll never be able to do anything but look at my Logitech headset that I got for the collector's edition and wish it was still around. So that was mine. That was mine. Next up, you guys.
Well, mine isn't actually. Well, it's an online game, but not an MMO.
Okay.
And that's Magic: The Gathering Online.
Really?
My God, I have spent so much money on that game. I don't even know what it's doing anymore. But this is like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, when it was just getting popular. And the thing is, I used to be pretty into Magic, and you know, when you go out and buy Magic cards, the goal is to buy a lot of them so you can
Get the best.
Get the best, right? And the same goes for Magic Online, but you're not actually getting anything. You're not getting cards that you can like trade with people, or I mean, you can trade with them online or whatever. But I mean, you're sitting there with packs upon packs of cards and just trying to get the best one, or just wanting to make the noise that of ripping open a pack. And I mean, I've spent hundreds of dollars on that game and probably never used half of the cards in them. I don't even know where my account is, or even if the game is still working or whatever.
Oh man, it is.
It's still going?
It's still out there.
I wonder if they still have my cards.
I hope
they probably do.
Wizards of the Coast is pretty good. Hopefully they do.
Well, if I go in and try and redeem them, or I'll just start buying more cards. It happens every time I walk into a store that sells Magic cards. So
let me briefly touch on
that. That's like every
too.
store. I mean, you can't even walk into a Target.
Exactly, a Walmart has them on the way out.
Yeah, Walmart, Target.
I know
anything.
it, and I haven't opened half of the boxes of Magic cards that I have, and I still will buy new ones. I do that with expansions too. Like I have the latest Lord of the. I haven't bought the absolute latest Lord of the Rings Online expansion, the Rohan one, but the one before that. I bought before Isengard before I had played through Mirkwood, and
before you can even get to the content, and you've never gotten to that content, have you? Compulsive spending habits. So.
Getting there. I am getting there.
That's why you're gonna have a PhD, because you can't stop spending money on school.
I know. I need to make it up somehow.
Well, the one thing I wanted to say is that he brings up a good point. We were talking about Neverwinter and the possibility of like lockboxes and Cryptic and their lockboxes, and how that's not accepted in the MMO world, but it's very accepted in Magic: The Gathering. These guys literally started the thing where you're paying to win in Magic: The Gathering. You're buying cards literally to win. You're buying hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of cards to win, and that's something that is completely frowned upon in the MMO world, but it's definitely not in the Magic: The Gathering world. If you're a rich guy, you can buy your way to a handsome deck. So, so that's just something.
Well,
to think
you
about.
Can buy individual cards,
That too, off of eBay.
Yeah.
But continue, Rob. Your turn.
I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I don't really think that there's any MMO that I've bought and played that I don't feel that I got my money's worth out of.
Not even like Final Fantasy XIV before this new one comes out, the new version.
I take that back. Final Fantasy XIV.
I knew I could get him.
I almost forgot. Oh,
collector's edition.
Rage.
made Rob rage quit.
There it is.
All right, I'm back.
Wow, I've never seen his face turn so red.
No, yeah, it's got redeeming qualities. Final Fantasy XIV does. So I hope it's just not too much of a Western MMO theme park clone once it comes back out. But yeah, I guess that's the only thing that I think was a waste of my money, was buying the collector's edition for Final Fantasy XIV. Other than that, even games like War, which I know some people really disliked, the Tome of Knowledge, the Public Quest system, yeah.
Those people are wrong. I agree.
So that's probably the only MMO that I've really, really regretted purchasing. But I don't regret it that much because I'm gonna get A Realm Reborn for free. So
So here's a question:
Yes.
What's your most superfluous in-game purchase in an MMO where you actually spent money on something that is just absolutely ludicrous?
Like real money?
Yeah, real
on
money.
Something in game? Yeah, I don't do that.
I don't know how many. I think it's like 200 gems. How much does that turn out to? Like $5?
I've never bought gems in Guild War 2. I don't spend money. Yeah, I know this is terrible. I've never spent money on a free-to-play game.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm one of those terrible people.
It is quote unquote free to play, right?
But you will.
Yeah.
You will if you can get a spider mount.
Yeah, that I will.
That
I
you
will
will.
actually drop some cash.
If there were mounts in Guild Wars 2,
Yeah.
like cool mounts, would you buy those?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Could possibly.
Yeah.
Just to support them. I do that with certain games that I've paid. Like I paid for a subscription for Rift when I didn't have to.
Yeah.
You know, just because I liked it.
The most.
But I've never bought anything.
So the most
for money.
superfluous thing you've done is pay for a subscription that you weren't even using.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Because I already had.
Like
I could already get it for
years of
free.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was yours, Bill?
Mine, it's not even that much money, but I wanted the boxing gloves in Guild Wars 2 during Halloween because they're perfect for the costume brawl. I bought those.
Right.
Yeah, they were killer in the costume brawl. You're looking at like a 75-time champion of costume brawl right here.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Impressive.
So it was worth it. I guess you could say superfluous, but if you don't want the achievement, maybe.
200 gems?
Yeah, like 250 gems. So what does that come out to? Like $5 or something like that,
Yeah,
if not more.
It's not that much.
Yeah, it's not that much. But I have bought. I guess you could say in general, I've spent a ton of money on gems. So that's plenty superfluous. I can't say that word. It's too late.
Superfluous. Yeah, one of my buddies kept buying gems so he could buy die packs.
See? Yeah, it's that silly. It's that silly.
He was like, addicted to it. He's like, I just buy it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I haven't gone that far, but I do still have like a buttload of gems sitting and waiting for something, a rainy day, I guess.
You know what's my out of game most superfluous purchases, or basically what I spend money on outside of MMOs is Steam sales.
Steam sales. Yeah, you can't say no to them.
I mean,
Like-
for $5, $9, $20, like I just keep spending money and they just keep sitting like in my Steam account.
Yeah, but you have them. One day,
That's true.
you're gonna need them. You'll be the last man on Earth. There'll be nothing
gonna
but
play
the
'em.
internet left.
I'm gonna play 'em.
And you'll play them.
Don't get drunk during the Steam sales, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that.
I actually see people on Facebook that are like, I'm drunk and there's a Steam sale. Look out, wallet. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh no!
Next thing he's like, why did I buy that? I don't know.
Seriously,
It's just like sleeping with somebody you shouldn't have after getting drunk.
it's a rookie mistake.
All right, folks. I think that just about covers it. Thank you.
Was that the community spotlight?
That was our community spotlight. Thank you for turning in. Turning in? I'm going to turn in. Thank you for
You're about to
tuning
turn
in to MMO FTW live on MMORPG.com. I've been your host, Bill Murphy. That's Rob Lashley down at the bottom. Sam Porfazana in the middle.
Dunmer.
What'd you say, Dunmer?
Dunmer.
Orcs. Rob? Orcs.
Works.
But don't forget, if you missed most of the show, or if you missed part of the show, or if you just want to see us all ramble on for an hour, we will be uploading it to YouTube, and it will be on MMORPG.com tomorrow morning as the weekend feature. So don't forget to follow us on twitch.tv/MMORPG.com, YouTube, MMORPG.com, Facebook, MMORPG.com, Twitter, MMORPG.com? Yes, MMORPG.com. Mike, are you getting this yet? Thanks for
last
watching.
thing.
One last thing?
One last
Google
thing.
Plus.
No.
That's what
Well,
I'm saying.
that too. Second to last thing. Goblin Works interview on the site. If you're a Sandbox fan, and all you guys out here at MMORPG.com, I shouldn't say all, a lot of you claim to be huge Sandbox fans. Go check that interview out. A lot of great information in there.
Good
if you haven't seen it already.
48-minute long interview with lots of cool crafting stuff. We didn't talk about that because I wouldn't say it was news, but it's definitely a good mention. Good catch, Rob.
Thank you.
You go to youtube.com, type in Pathfinder MMORPG.com, you'll find the video, or just go to the website. I think it's like the third featurette, or whatever day it was this week via the featurette slider. It's on.
Ryan actually hopped into the comments section and he said that, "Hi everyone, thanks for watching the interview. It was a blast to do. Please let me know if you have any questions I can answer." So if you got any questions for Ryan Dancy, he's watching the comments on that interview on the website. So put your comments in there, and he might be answering them.
Yeah, and now we have his Skype handle, so we can pester
He's
him
online now too.
See, pester him right now. No, I'm just kidding. But we'll do follow-up interviews. So if you guys have something, be sure to let Rob know, let myself know. We can definitely do a follow-up with Rob too. But go watch that video. It's a fantastic one. And yeah, we'll see you next weekend. Appreciate it, guys.